So I was unaware when I booted up this webcam app that's on my laptop, because the only webcam I have is the one that's built into my laptop right there. I was unaware that this thing has the same quality as the video camera that my dad bought in a parking lot at like midnight 2004. So yeah, I know the video quality is really, really bad, and it's not nearly as nice as what I was hoping. I did what I could trying to adjust some of it. It's not nearly as bad as it was when I booted this up, so I just kind of have to bear with me a little bit. It's all I got other than my cell phone, so thought this would be a little bit better than using my cell phone because, as you can tell, I talk with my hands a lot. I'm kind of a fidgety person, I'm kind of a shaky person, and I personally would much rather watch a video with potato quality than one where the camera is doing this the whole time. That's just me, though, so I figured I would do what I would prefer to watch. Anyway, I didn't just come here to complain about my low-quality webcam. I came here to talk about a really cool underlying theme that I noticed in Absolute Carnage Scream's tie-ins, because there's 3 different ones. The last tie-in went on sale last week, and it was amazing, and everybody should read it. And yeah, if I start gushing about that, then that's all this video is going to be about, and it's not all I want to talk about today. And I guess you could also extend this to the funeral pyre as well, which was, I'm pretty sure it was a web of venom. I'm pretty sure it was a web of venom. I don't think it was a web of carnage. Pretty sure it was a web of venom, where we seen the return of Andy Benton, who was Mania's former host. And we also see her come back in Scream's tie-ins, along with Patricia Robertson, who you might remember from the Venom 2003 run. I liked that Venom 2003 run. I know a lot of people didn't. I know a lot of people didn't really like Patricia. She's kind of a bland, kind of a vanilla character, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, she was a good transition host, I guess, for Scream Symbiote. But anyway, once again, I'm getting off track. I noticed that there's an underlying theme between both Funeral Pyre and Scream's tie-ins, and that is, if you're struggling with something, you should reach out for help. And I noticed this at first because I thought that it was kind of cool how we were finally getting to explore Scream's psyche, because originally in the original Separation Anxiety, it talked about how her first host, Donna, heard voices and had delusions, paranoia, and symptoms that could be schizophrenia. None of that was ever confirmed because after Separation Anxiety, they just kind of abandoned that part, and that's a rant for another day. However, I noticed that in this first issue, we see Scream kind of struggling between hearing her own inner voice, Donna's voice, despite the fact that Donna is definitely dead, and hearing Carnage/Null's voice, you know, calling her to rise up from the ground and go after these codexes. In the second issue, Scream meets up with Andy at the end of the first issue. I'm doing this all off memory. I don't have any of the issues with me. I probably should have grabbed those so I don't get any of my stuff wrong, but whatever. They're all the way over there in the drawer. Anyway, in issue 2, Scream meets up with Andy, and Andy is able to help Scream kind of break away from Carnage's hold, because Scream is basically being torn in 3 different directions. Because by issue 2, she's got Patricia hosting her. So we've got Patricia's voice, we've got Donna's voice, and we've got this Carnage Null call, which was hard to say. Don't say Null and call in the same sentence. That was not fun to say. Kind of vibrating in her head, and this escalates eventually to her constantly struggling for control of herself and control of her symbiote. I'm going to assume at this point that anyone watching this has read Absolute Carnage Scream number 3. If you haven't, major spoilers, because I'm about to spoil the whole thing for you. In issue 3, Scream does end up under Carnage's control again. And it ends up resulting in Patricia dying. Carnage just straight up kills her. And the whole time, as Scream is struggling against these different voices, whether they're coming from her, whether they're coming from Carnage's influence, she has Andy there to kind of be, I don't want to say voice of reason because that doesn't feel like the right term, but she has Andy there to kind of be this support person and encouraging her, telling her, you can fight this, you can do this, you're stronger than what you think you are. If you give in to him, he's gonna kill us both. And Scream's tie-in, the third tie-in, ends with Andy taking on her host, and it actually says in the last page that when the nightmares get too bad, it's too dangerous to go it alone. And this kind of confirmed that, at least for me, that this whole underlying theme of these tie-ins was that if you're struggling with something, to find some sort of support person, someone to help you through it, someone to talk to, a family member, a friend, a doctor, whatever your situation might pertain to. And I think that is a really cool, really great message to send, especially with how many people, struggle with different things, whether it be, addiction or a mental illness or a physical illness or anything like that. Funeral Pyre kind of, and it's been a while since I've read Funeral Pyre, we see Andy having these really horrible nightmares about the Mania symbiote, and we also have in issue 1 of Scream's tie-in, Patricia also talking about her own nightmares and how she's been hiding from them and running from everything, and that she's sick of running and it's just time to face everything. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to put into words what I'm trying to say, but it's just really cool to see something with, two strong female leads and, my personal favorite symbiote, to have such great message of, if you're struggling, you shouldn't put yourself in isolation. You shouldn't, hide away from everybody else. You should find someone, because there's always somebody out there who's gonna understand, which in the case, Patricia found Andy, and even though their little friendship was extremely short-lived, and most of the time Patricia was pretty much under Scream's control, Andy's positive influence and her encouragement and her support was still there, because without Andy being there and being that force of encouragement and being positive, there's no way that Patricia and Scream would have ever been able to break through Carnage's control. And I see that, and maybe I'm reading too deep into this, but I kind of see it almost as a metaphor to where if you've got something, going on in your life, you have a harder time getting through it if you feel like you're alone and you're isolated and you're the only person that really understands and that's going through this kind of thing, when in reality there's always somebody else out there that understands. Even in, this extreme case of, Patricia and Andy, both symbiote hosts, both had hosted the Mania symbiote, and both of them feeling like they were kind of alone and didn't really have anyone that they could go to about this sort of thing. But yeah, I just think it's really cool that that kind of underlying theme was put in there, and it kind of nailed it home with that last line of, when the nightmares get too bad, it's too dangerous to go it alone. And from this Absolute Carnage run, which is just dripping with darkness and insanity, and it's been a hell of a fucking ride. It's kind of cool to see a tie-in that seems like it's trying to play this underlying theme of almost positivity. I mean, it's not completely positive because Patricia does die, but it's kind of cool to see that there's still this positive message buried underneath everything in this run. And it definitely makes me excited for her ongoing, which of course I'm excited for it anyway. But it makes me even more excited for it because I'm wondering if some of these underlying messages, these, read between the lines kind of things, are going to show up in her ongoing 2. So, yeah. I hope I worded that correctly and that it made sense and I didn't just sound like I was rambling for 10 minutes, but I could probably go into a little bit more detail, but I think my YouTube upload limit is still at 15 minutes, and I don't really want to go over 15 minutes anyway. But yeah, just to summarize, I really liked that Funeral Pyre and Scream's 3 tie-ins, yeah, had this underlying message of, if you're particularly struggling mentally because of where we see Scream fighting against all these voices, that you shouldn't isolate yourself and that it's better to find support and to find help, because I think that's a message that especially with the way things are today, that all of us could really benefit from. So, what do you guys think? Am I just reading into this too much? Or am I actually seeing something here? So, let me know what you think, and it feels so great to be making these little vlog YouTube videos again. I used to do them back in the day when I was a huge Doctor Who fan, and I think I'm definitely going to start back up again. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you all later.